Hello everyone and welcome to another review. So if you're looking for a value for money small SUV that is simple yet stylish and it leaves a mark the moment anyone sees it, then this new Mazda CX-5 could be the small SUV for you. So in today's video, we're going to be finding out everything in detail about this CX-5. So the new CX-5 is offered in 7 different variants: GX, GS, Kuro, GT, Sport design, then the Suna edition, and then the Signature edition. So the one that I am reviewing is the top of the line Signature variant of the CX-5, and pretty much every Mazda CX-5 or Mazdas in general look quite elegant in terms of its appearance because there are no unnecessary lines and it's very clean and roundish, and it just looks much more elegant. I just believe. Like, let me know in the comment section what do you think about any Mazda design in general. So let me begin with this. So on this Signature variant, there is this gunmetal finished grille, plastic grille, but glossy one, and then there is this chrome strip at the bottom of it, and then this big Mazda badging given in the center with one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. At the bottom, again, very clean roundish bumper with more silver color plastic bumper given at the bottom, and another opening for extra bit of cooling also. And here you would find full set of LED headlight cluster. These are the dynamic headlight cluster, so the headlight inside moves with the steering input. So instead of having the cornering lights, the headlight cluster itself moves around on the inside. It actually looks pretty cool if you watch it from outside. And there are also DRLs given, Signature ones, on the inside of these headlights, and there are also turn signals given on the edge on the inside of the headlight cluster. And underneath this sits a 2.5 liter dynamic pressure turbo 4-cylinder engine. And on the other variants, so on the Sport, the Suna and the Signature edition, you get the 2.5 liter turbocharged engine, whereas on every other model there is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder standard engine, but it comes with the cylinder deactivation technology. But the GX variant doesn't come with any cylinder deactivation technology. So even though this is the top of the line Signature edition of this CX-5, but there is still an optional extra, and that is this paintwork, which is the red crystal metallic, which comes in for an additional $500. And I don't know, it actually looks very good during the bright day, but yeah, it's an optional, so you can remove that from the price list. But what doesn't come extra is all of this that you see apart from that paintwork. So on this there are 19-inch gunmetal finished alloy wheels on this CX-5, and then these body colored arches on the side. Again, that elevates the appearance for this car. At the bottom skirtings, but body colored, and they cover the entire door so that the frames don't get dirty. And when you come to these side mirrors, these are power foldable side mirrors. They are power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning on the inside, and it's a body colored side mirror. Just at the bottom there is the normal plastic, and one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. There is also a turn signal provided on the inside, and there is this half chrome surround given at the bottom of these windows, and a standard sunroof given on this, and no roof rails or anything provided on this top variant of the CX-5. When you come to these doors, so the front doors are keyless entry doors, but it's actually a smart keyless entry system. So you leave the keys in your pocket and walk away from the car, it will automatically lock the car. And then, as I said, there is no sharp lines or anything, so it's very roundish design even when you see it from the side profile. Even in the back there are these body colored arches, and as standard, all the CX-5 from the GX variant to the Signature edition, all of them come with the all-wheel drive system. And on the inside, on the door sills, there is CX-5 badging, but in the front it's the illuminated one, whereas in the rear there is CX-5 badging, but it's not the illuminated. Now in the rear there is full set of LED tail lights provided, turn signals, reversing lights, the main brake lights, all of it is in LED, and there is not any spoiler or anything, but just a little bit of an overhang given on the top with the LED brake light. And again, that's also in body color, the red color one. And then the CX-5 badging with the Signature badging, all-wheel drive in chrome on the left side, the Mazda badging, and the SkyActiv G turbo badge on the right side. At the bottom, again a very simpler bumper design given in the back too, with the reflector strips on either side and this silver color plastic shiny one given at the bottom, and not like normal plastic, because yeah, that might have ruined the entire look of this car and not made it look the way it looks right now. So at the bottom of that there is this trailering hook also provided with the power outlet and everything, and then on either side you would find the chrome dual exhaust tips, and these are the functional exhaust tips and not the fake ones. In terms of the visibility, it's actually decent, I will say. There is just thick pillars on either side, but again that doesn't bother the visibility because it's much more vertical, this glass, so it gives you like a broader view from the rear view glass. Now in order to open the trunk door, there's a button underneath. When we open that, this is where the CX-5 really shines, because welcome to so much of space for a small SUV. Now when the rear seats are folded up, you can put 871 liters of luggage in the back, which is pretty big. I mean, yeah, look at this, it's just literally flat. There is no step or anything. There are just plastic scuff plates given in the back, and on the main bumper there are metal scuff plates, so again you don't damage that red expensive paint work. And there are also rubber mats provided in the back of the CX-5 with the CX-5 badging, so that is just much more easier to clean them if they get dirty. Even on the inside, in the interior, there are rubber mats provided, but if you don't want to have these rubber mats because you think that might ruin, because underneath them are the real mats, and let me show you first that, because underneath that there are these trunk covers, and those trunk covers have the carpet lining on them. But let's say you are going to put something wet or something dirty, so the solution to that is, and it's in two pieces, so the one on the inside also you can flip it, and then look at this, there is like a rubber material on it so that you don't damage that carpet lining on it, and then now it fits on that too, and then now you can put all your stuff, heavy duty ones, and then easily clean it too. So yeah, that's a double thing. I don't know why don't every manufacturer do that, because you can just flip the cover and then use it in a dual way. So yeah, that's quite smart. Then there is also a trunk light given in the door, and underneath the trunk floor there is a temporary spare wheel provided, and in the center of that wheel there is a woofer from the Bose music system, because this car comes with 10 speaker Bose music system, and also a tool kit to change the tire. The rear seats are foldable in a ratio of 40:20:40, so the middle handrest or the middle seat, whatever you call it, can also be folded down. So there are some hook points given on the floor on the inside, and also a 12-volt power socket. Now there are also levers given in the back as a convenience feature so that you can fold down the seats. But here's the thing, on the left side there are double levers provided. So one is for the middle seat to be folded down, so that's also been thought out, so you don't have to use any extra effort into folding that seat. So you can fold that seat from here, from behind, but if you still want to fold down all the seats, then pull down the other levers and fold down the seats. Now my driving seat is a little behind, which is why the rear seat is not able to fold down, but when that folds down, then you can put 1680 liters of luggage in the trunk. Now that is pretty big, and the floor itself is pretty flat, as I said, and also the opening is quite low, so you can easily put your luggage in and out and no step inside. And again, because it's a flatter floor, so you can slide the bigger objects also on the inside. But yeah, nonetheless a very usable space given on the inside of this CX-5. And once you're done using the trunk, press the button and electronically close the trunk door, and it is very slow but very quiet. Well, just like any other Mazdas, this CX-5 is also lined with some premium materials, well thought out and very simple to use. In fact, this interior layout is actually very similar to the previous car that I reviewed, which was the Mazda CX-30. So you can click on the pop-up banner out here and you can watch the detailed review video of that. But if you're going to stick around, then let's start with the material quality on this CX-5. So on the top face of the dashboard, there is soft touch material throughout. Just on the top there is just normal plastic where there is heads up display, but again, not too bad. The quality of plastic is pretty good. And on the door guards, again, soft touch materials on the top face, even on the side soft touch material where you're going to be resting hands. There is cocoa Napa leather, so the cocoa colored Napa leather given on the handrest with the gunmetal color stitching given on the side face, and then the glossy black plastic around the switches, and even these switches and buttons, they all have like quality. Even on the side face of this dashboard, it's soft touch material. Out here on the top also, even in the middle bit, again same cocoa Napa leather provided with the stitching. These seats are in the same cocoa colored Napa leather seats with the stitching provided on them too. The handrest goes for the same. Just couple of places where there is like a little not so good plastic quality, so it's near these cup holders there is just normal plastic, and on this steering wheel on the bottom side there is just this normal plastic. Looks slightly cheap, but otherwise everywhere else is just quality materials. Oh, and there is also this wooden trims given on the door card. So this is the Abashi wood trim, which is only exclusive to the signature version of this CX-5 on the door cards, on the dashboard, and even on the other side. So yes, the material quality pretty good. Even near the gear selector, glossy black plastic, the joystick given out here to control the infotainment screen, even the buttons and everything, the plastic around that, yeah, all of that is good plastic. Even on the bottom of the door cards, it's good plastic. So you can give plastic, but yes, you can give good plastic so that it does not feel like cheap when you sit inside, and Mazda does exactly that. There are also these strips that you see, which are again in the satin gunmetal finish. Now when you come to the driver's display, again straightforward 3 dials given, and the middle dial has a 7-inch LCD display, and on either side dials given, which are the fixed dials, and in the middle there is information that you can see. So that information can be changed using the info button given on the steering wheel. So you press that info button, go to trip A, then trip B, or the various settings around the car when you're in the cruise control, safety settings, and then the service duration, then the compass, or you can switch it off and have a clean look. So that's about it. That's how you use the driver's display and the information on it. And it's also very crystal clear and very crisp to view even on a broad daylight. And there's also a stick provided. That button, when you press that, it converts the gauge, the center one, the speedometer, into the miles per hour, or from miles per hour to kilometers per hour. So very straightforward. You don't have to look for any options. Again, see, that's how it should be. It's all straightforward right in front of you, so it's just easier to use. Now when you come to the steering wheel, this is a leather covered steering wheel, and it's also got the stitching and everything on that too. And the steering wheel actually feels quite premium to touch also in terms of its quality. But there are paddle shifters given in the back. Those are the plastic paddle shifters and very tiny ones, but I don't know if I'm going to use it. But anyways, this thing comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission also, and there are buttons given on either side, and the steering wheel is manually adjustable, tilt and telescopic. So adjust and just lock it in. So on the right side there are buttons given for the adaptive cruise control and the lane keep assist and all of those buttons, whereas on the left side there are buttons given for the driver's display to change the information, and also the media control buttons, and also the voice control button. So all of that is provided on the left side, and the steering wheel is also the heated steering wheel. The button is given right about the air conditioning control on the left side. So again, that's also quite visually in front of you, so you don't have to search it anywhere. Now when you come to the air conditioning control, so you get dual zone air conditioning system on this CX-5, and I just think that the controls are mounted slightly on the lower side because it's a bit of a reach sometimes when you're driving, and plus I would rather would like it to be somewhere around here, because even on the CX-30 that I reviewed previously, that had it around here. So yeah, it goes slightly on the lower side, but nonetheless physical buttons for everything, all of it to control. So straightforward on and off button, and then the buttons given in the center for the fan speed, and dials given on either side to change the temperature, and also the sync button, the flow of air, the direction, those buttons, and then the fresh air and everything. So yeah, that's about it. That's how you get used to straightforward using the air conditioning controls. There are also buttons given on either side for the heated and the cooled seats. So the driver and the passenger side seats both are heated and the cooled seats, and the buttons are provided on that air conditioning controls also. And as I said, vents are provided above that on either side and also in the middle. Now when you come to the infotainment screen, so you get 10.25-inch infotainment system on this CX-5, and just like any other Mazdas, this is also not the touchscreen, but it converts into a touchscreen when you connect to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So the ways to control this screen is using the dial, which acts like a joystick also, given behind the gear shifter, and then there are straightforward shortcut buttons for home, media, back, star, and also the navigation, and also there is a volume dial provided too. So in order to operate, so we first go into the information, then there's fuel efficiency monitor, then there is the Sirius XM travel link, vehicle status monitor. Then we go back, and the next option is the entertainment, where you will find all your connectivity options. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment screen using Bluetooth, USB, and wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And that's when you can utilize the touchscreen feature of this screen, because then using the Google Maps you can use that. And as I said, because there are too many options, that's how the screen becomes touchscreen, so it's just more easier to use it. But on this CX-5, the screen is actually pretty close, so maybe you can have the touchscreen option, because in other models I get that it's a bit of a stretch. So but nonetheless, even when you're using the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you can use this joystick to again control the screen too while on the move. So the next option is the communication. When you're connected, call history, contacts, Mazda roadside assistance, everything. Then inbuilt navigation system, but the only thing is like you have to using this joystick, because again it does not become a touchscreen even for its own navigation system. So yeah, bit of a hassle. So yeah, I would just use it if in case there is no other option to use the Google Maps. Then we go back, then the detailed settings, in which you will find in-vehicle displays. So active driving display, which is the heads-up display, center display, changed all of that. Sound settings, as I said, you get 10 speaker Bose music system on this CX-5. Safety systems, detailed vehicle settings, door, exterior light, interior rain, turn signals, and everything. Then connectivity settings for the Bluetooth, then the system settings, which is the clock, voice, temperature, distance, speed, all of those day-to-day units if you want to change. Then you flick this dial on the left side, and then you see any notifications, or you can flick it top and down for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. So that's a quick option to change that. So yes, that's your infotainment screen on this CX-5. In terms of the charging, so there is one 12-volt power socket given underneath the air conditioning controls, and also a wireless charger provided. There is also two more Type-C USB ports, which are the fast charging USB ports, which are also used for the connectivity, and also one 12-volt power socket given in the center armrest. And for the rear passengers, in the center armrest there are two more USB ports. Now on this CX-5, there is an extension provided on the sun visor so as to cover this entire door. There's also a standard sunroof, which is pretty big enough, I will say. And in terms of the storage, so in the door cards you can easily put about 1.5 liter worth of bottle, and some more storage on the sides. This wireless charger that you can utilize. There's also this sunglass holder, and there are also two more flexible cup holders given in the back behind the gear shifter. There's also the center armrest, inside which there is a tray and small storage inside of that. Put your phones and wallets. There's also this glove box lined with some premium materials, which is decently big enough to put all your documents and everything. Even on the passenger side, same 1.5 liter worth of bottle. Whereas in the rear, on the door cards, you can put about 1 liter worth of bottle on either side, and there are also two more cup holders given in the center armrest. Now on this CX-5, there is this leather covered gear shifter, and it's quite easy to operate. Just put it into reverse neutral drive or the manual, or you can put it into P, because I'm not belted, which is why the car is beeping. And next to that, there is also a switch provided for the various drive modes. So there are three different driving modes given on this CX-5. The first one is the off-road, to put it into off-roading, light bit of off-roading that you can do with it. normal and the sport mode, and then the sport makes the center dial a little bit sporty in terms of your appearance. It makes it a little red, but yeah, normal makes it just like the normal dial. Now when it comes to the seats, so these seats are Coco Napa leather seats, and they have the stitching on the sides and also in the backrest and at the bottom too, and it's also got the same gunmetal color stitching provided on them. They are perforated seats because they are the heated and the cooled seat. And first of all, in terms of the comfort, yeah, these seats are slightly on the harder side, and yeah, especially the backrest, that's slightly, yeah, quite hard that way, and the bottom bit is all right, but it's still slightly on the harder side. But in terms of the overall support, it's actually very good. They are quite broad, these seats, and the under thigh support is also quite good because it nearly supports, yeah, the thighs at the bottom, and even in the back there is good amount of support, and at the bottom too it's much more flatter instead of being sporty and then restricting you inside the seat. So yeah, that ways they are quite broad, but yes, in terms of the hardness they are slightly on the firmer side. And the headrest, they are slightly softer than the usual seats, but in terms of the adjustability, so the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and 2-way lumbar adjustment, whereas the passenger side seat is 6-way electronically adjustable. Now on this CX-5 there's also a heads-up display provided, which is pretty bright and crystal clear, and it shows you lots of information like navigation, speed limits. Also, if you are in the cruise control, then the speed limit and everything on the screen itself, and also the media information. And in order to change any settings on that, to even change the height or brightness or anything, you go into the settings, in vehicle display, and as Mazda calls it, active driving display. You can adjust height, auto brightness, tilt adjustment, active driving display content. If you want to see any of those information, or switch off the heads up display, you can do that. Navigation guidance, street traffic recognition, or restore. So yeah, that you can change from this active driving display options. Now also on the left side there are some more buttons provided for the lane keep assist, so you can switch it on and off from there, and also a view button because you can switch on the 360-degree camera system and look around if you're in a parking lot. So if you want to have a look, so you can press that view button and select multiple views, back or both side views, and also come out of it. So yeah, that button is quite handy, especially as I said in a busy parking lot, so you can maneuver your way around. Now in the rear it's tight because in terms of the knee room there's about 2 fingers worth of knee room, and these seats are in my driving position. The headroom is okay, but someone about 6 feet still will be able to fit into these seats, and the reason being that these seats are actually quite low, and that gives me that extra bit of head space, and they are also much more flatter in like a bench type of setup, and you can make out from the angle that my legs are making. So there is a bit of a under thigh support that's also missing. And in terms of these seats, even in the back they are on the harder side, that is what I can say. And the backrest, again, yeah, that's also quite firm, but the backrest is adjustable, like slightly reclining, so you can make it slightly upright or make it a little reclined during the longer journeys. You can even slide your legs under the seat. There is some amount of room for that, especially during longer journeys. That's gonna feel a little more comfortable. And as I said, these seats, yeah, they are perforated seats, but the rear seats are the heated seats, and the button for that I'm going to reveal to you in a bit. So they are perforated and they have the same Coco Napa leather material and the color. There are 3 headrests also, and they are again pretty broad. There's also a small bit of tunnel given in the back, and once I sit in the middle seat is actually quite soft, the bottom bit, but the back side, yeah, again that's hard because of the hand rest. And once I pull down this hand rest, so you will see 2 flexible cup holders in the front, and there are buttons given for the heated seats for either side of the passengers, and there's a storage, and once you open that there are 2 standard USB ports provided. Now the thing is that if there is a passenger seated in the middle seat, then you can't actually use any of the features. In fact, the heated seats or Yeah, the charging. So yeah, if all the buttons were here in the center tunnel, then it would have been much more easier, because there are air conditioning vents given for the rear passengers. So during summers or winters, this is going to be much more, relaxing to be in the rear also. And plus the heated seats also offered, so during winters, again, definitely quite useful. But yes, the buttons and the USB ports were given on this face itself, then it would have been easier to operate, because if there is a middle passenger, so yeah, you're not most likely going to be able to use it, or they have to jump outside first and then plug it. Yeah, you get how it can be a little bit, yeah, complex. But two people can sit on either side, but the middle passengers, once they are there, then things might become also quite cramped in here. In terms of the door card quality, it's soft touch material on the door cards, the same Abashi wood trim given on the doors also. Where are going to be resting hands, that's Coco Napa leather. At the bottom, normal plastic, but again good quality plastic. Pockets given in the driver and the passenger seats. Even in the door cards, you can put 1 liter of storage. This handrest that has two flexible cup holders. But yes, in the rear, things are slightly on the tighter side. Plus, there is a lot of trunk space, but for the rear passengers, there is a bit of an adjustment that needs to be done, especially there are front passengers who want to extend the seats till the back. Then yeah, there's going to be quite a lot of space issues on the rear of this CX-5. So this new CX-5 is powered by a SkyActiv G 2.5 liter 4-cylinder dynamic pressure turbo engine, which is a turbocharged engine that produces based on the various fuel that you put in. So if you put like 93 octane, then the engine produces 256 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque, whereas if you put 87 octane fuel, then it produces 227 horsepower and 310 pound-foot of torque. So yeah, that depends on the fuel quality. So that engine is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission that sends the power to all the wheels via an i-Activ all-wheel drive system. Now, in terms of the engine, as I said, the base variant comes with 2.5 liter non-turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, whereas the trims upwards of that come with the cylinder deactivation technology, whereas this comes with the dynamic pressure, the dynamic turbo pressure engine. Now, in terms of the response, if I'm honest, it's okay, although the torque and power takes a little while to kick in once you press the throttle. But yes, it's still quite smooth in terms of its power delivery. And the all-wheel drive system, yes, cleverly sort of powers all the wheels, so I know where the power is sort of balanced when it is trying to feed onto all the four wheels. But yes, in terms of the response, it's pretty good. It's not too bad. The curve is kind of smooth, but yes, the power takes a little while to flow in because of that turbocharger, but it's still dynamic, so yes, it keeps varying. And again, the fuel also matters. So yes, but overall it's a pretty smooth powerhouse. Slightly noisy, I'm going to just come to that also. Now, in terms of the all-wheel drive system, as I said, it's powering all the four wheels quite well. You can do light bit of off-roading because there is an off-road mode also provided, but yes, it's more for the traction even on the road, so that is quite balanced. Now, in terms of the efficiency, so on the highways, I've been able to get around 8.9 to 9 liters per 100 kilometers, whereas within the city I manage around 10 to 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. But yes, those are the sort of figures that you can expect from everyday driving of this CX-5. Now, when it comes to the steering, it's one of the best steerings, and Mazdas are such a great handling cars. Pick up any model and it's just very good. And the reason being the philosophy on which the Mazda cars work on, it's called the Jinba Itai, and that's basically the man and the machine all in sync. And yes, when you drive this car, you can actually feel that. In fact, you drive any Mazda models and you feel that. So the handling is pretty precise and on point. I get good amount of feedback from it. And also there is the G vectoring which is provided on this. So that G vectoring makes sure that the car is also quite stable and balanced, and especially when you consider the suspensions, because the suspensions are slightly on the harder side, and yeah, some of the odd bumps, yeah, I can feel it from the chassis itself. So yeah, that can be slightly less aggressive in terms of its setup. It feels much more sportier, especially with these harder seats. Yeah, you can actually feel a lot of those bumpiness. I don't know if you can make out from the camera, but yes, again, that G vectoring comes in to play also, because that makes sure that the car is balanced all the time and does not give you a lot of roll. So yes, in terms of the ride quality, yes, it does remain quite stable and quite even all the time. So there's quite a lot of direct sun, so let me just put down the sun visor. Now the suspension and the steering themselves are calibrated that way very well, so they offer good driving feel on this CX-5. Now when it comes to the brakes, there are 4 disc brakes given on this, and the braking performance is rather good. There is a bit of softness initially to the brake pedal, but otherwise the braking action is quite firm and very confident in using. Now when it comes to the noise and the vibrations, not really much noise as such from these tires, but there is a bit of wind whooshing from around these windows, and the major one is the engine, because if I try to accelerate, or especially when it's like idling, then you can actually hear the engine sound creep into the interior. Yeah, that's the main sound that you will hear. But in terms of the vibration, there is none, because the build quality seems to be quite good, so everything is holding up very well. There's no rattling or loose body panels or anything. Now in terms of the safety systems, so there are 8 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags for the driver and the passengers. There are also 2 side airbags for the rear passengers also. Then there are 2 curtain airbags provided in the frames, and there is also child isofix points in both the rear seats. There is also a 360-degree camera system, and the output from that is pretty good. It's satisfyingly good, I will say, and yeah, it's smooth, and you can also select a few different views from that reversing camera. Also, you can call that camera at any point at lower speeds or when you're parked somewhere. Then there is also the blind spot warning. There is also the adaptive cruise control. Then there is the traction control, and also the G vectoring and all those different sort of safety systems provided. Then there's also front pedestrian warning, collision warning. There is a camera provided in the front glass that manages to do that, and then the advanced level of adaptive cruise control also. And there is also the rear traffic, cross traffic alert. So every single safety system has been given on this top Signature CX-5. Now when it comes to the pricing, so the base variant starts from $32,250, whereas the top trim, which is this one, comes in at $44,950, plus you add $500 for the paint, so it comes to $45,450. And there's also another $2,000 freight charges and AC fill up charges and all of that, so it comes to somewhere around $47,000. But yes, that's for the top Signature spec. So in my opinion, this car may look pricey, but in terms of what it can do, as I said, it does offer you a value for money, because there is just so much to offer from this car, especially to start with the looks. I really like the looks. I know it may seem a little too old now, but it's still, people do look at it, and it's in a way quite elegant. And even the interior is just so simple, yet it's just so premium. You interact with any panels inside the car, there is a quality to it, which is quite rare in the small SUV segment. Good quality plastic, and it's also spacious. Yes, the seats could be slightly more comfortable, and in terms of the overall space in the trunk, yes, there is quite a lot of it, so you can put in a lot of things in the trunk. So yes, that way it's also very, very practical at the same time. So yeah, for that price point, it just looks very good. Maybe a mid trim is something like a GT or the Suna edition or maybe the GS, because even that comes with the cylinder deactivation technology, so even that will be a good sort of perspective. But overall, yes, this car is one of the top 3 for me. In fact, it could be the top car for me, because I really like how everything is dealt on this car, especially on any Mazdas, to be honest. And there is also entertainment, there is also tech, so it's a very balanced approach given on this CX-5, and for that it's definitely recommended. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up, and thank you for watching this video. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care, and drive safe.